really successful weekend against Texas A&M, taking 2 of 3. What's kind of just, I guess, the feel when it comes to the team itself, having all of this positive momentum, continuing to win SEC series as they continue to get harder and you're coming down the stretch?
Yeah, they do continue to get harder. They're all hard. The feel of the team right now is we just have a strong belief that we can win any game that we're in. And I think that's a really special place to be. Of whether things are going our way, things aren't going our way. I feel like we've shown a ton of character, shown a ton of composure, and figured out how to win games in different ways, at home, on the road. So I think we're in a good spot. I like the feel of this team. I like the feel we're in right now. And you're right, it'll just keep getting harder. So good spot to be though right now.
Especially with kind of LSU coming up this weekend, final series before you guys head to the SEC tournament. How do you, I guess, you manage kind of the end of this season, knowing how, the last series of the last couple of years have gone and kind of that downwards trend? How do you manage that differently, with all that past experience with how hot this team is?
Well, I think we manage it for what this team needs. I think that's the biggest thing is just knowing we're in a really good spot physically, mentally with this team. You're always at this time of year managing, finishing classes, doing finals, making sure we're staying in the moment, not looking ahead to the SEC tournament or postseason. But this team's, we'll manage it for how this team needs. And we'll focus on Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Hunter, I'll turn it back over.
Robin?
Hi, Coach. Good morning. So obviously Ella once again getting SEC Freshman of the Week. Can you just talk about what you've seen from her, even though you've only had her for just this semester or this season?
Well, I think that if anyone's had the chance to watch her, you see that she's a big time player, with a big personality, a ton of intensity, a ton of passion. She just has a ton of joy with the game, and that's who she is on the daily. And that's who she's been for this team, and she's just continues to elevate her game. And I think that's what's been so impressive about her and her play is that she is big in big games and big moments, and it's so beyond her years. But when the competition just elevates, so does she. And so I think that she's very quickly become a player that this team relies on. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can give any freshman is that it's a player that a veteran seasoned team at this point relies on. It's big time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dudley?
Coach, the obviously Bree and has gotten a lot of the publicity and all that, but it seems like from 1 to 9 or 1 to 10 during games, everybody has a clutch moment. Talk about the ability to have those clutch moments and what goes into that.
Well, the ability to have clutch moments is a reflection of your belief, and your ability to be in the moment and your belief in yourself and your belief in your teammates. I don't think any one player on our team feels like it falls on them, even Bree, and for how big she's been. And there's a lot to be said for that because everyone has a belief that moment, they're ready for that moment and they're built for that moment. And when you have a collective belief that the team's going to do it and you don't individually have to do it, it's really freeing. And I think that's what we're seeing from this team from 1 through 10, 1 through 12. I think we're seeing that in the circle. I think we're seeing that on defense. It's just a strong belief in themselves and each other.
I guess sometimes when you rise in the polls, they can feel a little pressure, but it doesn't look like this group is a group that puts a lot of pressure on themselves. Talk about, the rise in the polls and where you're at and just how you think they'll take the mentality into this weekend and the rest of the season.
Well, I think this team's done a really good job of balancing all of that. We don't talk about it a ton. We don't care about it a ton. I think especially when there's 4 different polls that all say something different, I think why we're rising is we're just really focusing on the moment and just being where our feet are. And everything that I've said already of just having a strong belief that we're going to win any game that we're in. And so I think that's what's added up to maybe rising in the polls, but we don't care. We know we're
It's
just
pretty cool though,
focusing
right?
on winning where
It's
we're
pretty
at.
cool.
It is
It's pretty
very cool. I'm not downplaying it. It is very cool. It's very cool to get the publicity of it being the highest ranking in program history. That is great. I'm not trying to downplay that. I love that this program just continues to do new things and these players keep pushing our program to new places. I love that. I'm not downplaying it, but we don't talk about it. And our goal is not to rise in the polls. Our goal is to win the game that we're in, and be really good at being present.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Eric?
Coach, I talked to Tricia Ford earlier this week in her media availability. She talked about one of the things she's learned since coming to the SEC is that you have to win in a variety of ways. You can't just win one style because everybody in the league has different personality and styles. You brought your team up and, how you outplayed her team and you played in different variety of ways. Your team has that. Just talk about that and building a team that can win in many different aspects like your team does this year.
Yeah, I think that's always a reflection of a strong team, is a team that can win a one-run game, a team that can separate, a team that's not going to rely on one bat. They're going to find a way to manufacture runs when they're not having their best, a team that's not going to get the breaks early and then create their own breaks. I don't think we did that on Sunday. That was the message. It's like, you got to create your own breaks. We didn't do what we needed to create that. And a team that more than anything doesn't focus so much on what the other team does, but just focuses a ton on what you do on your side. And I think that's what this team has done really well, is just really focus on what it's going to take that day to win a game. And we talked about it even after, the end of the first game maybe wasn't a great feel. Maybe got a little tight at the end of the second game. That's what big teams are going to do. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the feel is. It takes what it takes, and just making sure that we do whatever we need on our side to take care of our side, manage our emotions, and play our game.
Well, ho hum, you're hosting LSU. They're just coming off, winning 2 out of 3 against Florida there. When you watch them on tape, what stands out about LSU?
Well, I think that they have a really strong offense. I think that they have a good balance of power and creating chaos on offense, on their offensive side. Obviously, they have Berzon, who's one of the best in the country. I think they continue to show more trust in Hefner as the offset to Berzon. And I think they're playing well right now. I think that they're going to be tough, as we expect every SEC opponent and any opponent in general to be. And so we just are diving into our prep. I don't think what they do isn't anything we haven't seen. I think that's what the SEC does. It just continues to challenge you. It demands your best. It prepares you for the next. And so they're just kind of a combination of what we've seen. And so it's just kind of getting back to our prep and fine tuning what we need to do to offset what they do.
As a fellow pitch caller who handles the pitching staff, is one of the best pitch callers in the sport yourself, what's it like when you see Beth Torina? What makes her as regarded as one of the elite pitch callers, best in her own right, and developed so many great pitchers? When you see her facing her, what is it that makes her so good?
Well, I think she does a really good job of developing her pitchers. I think that she has proven year in and year out that they've always had a strong staff, and that this year's no different. I think the interesting thing is having the youth with the seasoned vet, and how they've continued to pour into Hefner. She'll have a tough outing and then she'll come back and she'll be really good. She's a freshman. All freshmen are in that boat, and they just continue to give her the ball, and she wins the ball. And there's a lot to be said for that. But that's Beth. They aren't as deep, but they have really strong pitching, and they have pitching that complements each other. And so we're going to have quick adjustability. We're going to have to earn it. We know that with them. But yeah, that's what she's done year in and year out.
What's the key to staying even keel when you're playing in a league like the SEC, where there's going to be highs and lows. No matter how good your team is. It's just the league is so deep now this year in particular than it's ever been. So you're going to have some highs and lows. You had some lows earlier in the conference play. Now you're having some high. How do you stay even keel? Because it could come back full circle on you in a notice there.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know the magic recipe to that. I think that we set a tone for that of being even keel, of not being super emotional, of knowing that one game is one game. Sometimes you're going to have a bad game. It's not a reflection you're a bad team. So it's just like at bat to at bat. So I think there's a lot of little things within the game that gets you ready for that big picture. And it's going to be how we manage it and how we help our team through those times. I think that's what's impressed me about this team is not having a great start to the SEC season, and knowing that wasn't who we are, but more so just not really playing our game and really getting back to that and staying the course. And I think we see that show up in games where maybe we're not that strong at the start and we just kind of stay the course and let the game come back to us and trust who we are. And I think at the end of the day, I think our team knows how much we trust them and how much we believe in them. And they have a ton of trust and belief in themselves and each other. And so I think that's what continues to show up. And in the good games and the bad games and the good innings and the bad innings and the good at bats, the bad at bats. And so I think you're constantly building towards your best version. And that's where we're at.
My last question, SEC tournament is around the corner. You got a Thursday, Saturday for the league. That's a little tweak to kind of, with the SEC tournament starting, I guess, Tuesday. Do you like that tweak in the schedule being a Thursday, Saturday? Is that an adjustment at all from the routine or no big deal?
I think that I probably like it more than Beth probably likes it right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's a tweak that was needed for the tweak that we had to make in the conference tournament that was needed. So I think that as a whole, our conference does a really good job of adjusting to what's the best for everyone. And so I think this is no different.
Hey, Courtney, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, just comparing the stats from last year's offense to this year's, just year 1 and 2 of having DJ there, it's pretty crazy, just the improvement. From your seat, what has he done so well?
Well, I think that we're seeing everybody on the same page this year. I think that I think both sides have just really settled in of just knowing what to expect and knowing just what the daily and the expectations are. I think what we're seeing from our offense is a gritty offense that has a lot of different ways of manufacturing and producing. And that's what DJ is and what he does. And so I think we're just seeing a really good relationship that has only grown and continues to grow. And I think that this is just the starting point.
And then, I mean, Coach Michael does a lot of the defense too, and y'all are having a year there. Just what is the cohesion level, I guess, with this coaching staff right now, where it just seems like, I don't know, things are really starting to come together, just excelling in all these different areas.
Yeah, I mean, Matt does an incredible job with our defense. We've always been a strong defense. This year, we've elevated even more. And I think when you look at the cohesiveness of this staff, to me, it's about as good as it gets. We put a lot of work in the off season from last year to this year, not only on just the overall program and the culture and what we want to do, but also working on working together. And I think that's something that you have to continue to pour into and not take for granted. We all have a lot of ideas, a lot of opinions. We respect the crap out of each other. And so we have really good disagreements. We have ways to challenge each other and make not only ourselves better, but this program better. And we've really committed to putting ourselves in that best position. And I think that's what we're seeing throughout the whole program is just the work we've put in. And man, I'd go to battle with this staff any day. They are an absolute joy to work with every day. And it's not because it's rainbows and sunshine. It's not because we agree all the time. It's because we all are very good at our jobs, and we all respect each other enough to continue to challenge for us to push the envelope and push this program forward.
Last thing I got is your last senior to recognize is going to be Reagan. I mean, she's been a part of championship teams here. Now she's a senior. Just what has she meant her time here to the program?
Reagan has been absolutely instrumental to the growth of this program, and she's been an incredible leader, and she is just a incredible human, but she is a competitor. She's someone that is will always and has always put the program first, and will always fight for our program, and fight for what's right. And not everybody has the will to do that. Not everybody has the backbone to do that always, of choosing the hard for what's the best. And that is who Reagan is every single day. She is a worker, and she has earned everything that she's gotten. And she's been one of our most quiet, productive, unflashy players in our program history. And that's exactly who she puts the work in. She is not flashy, but she is a grinder, and just really proud that she's a Razorback. Really proud.
All I've got. Thanks so much.
Any more questions for Coach? All right, nobody has any more questions. We're going to go ahead and move to